So you guys are either married or you're brothers because you got the same last name.
We are brothers.
So brothers. So who got in the industry first?
I was in first. My our dad, you may remember our dad, Bill Malamut.
I
He
do remember Bill.
was coached by Irene,
Yeah.
and my dad was probably doing it for probably 15 years before I got in. I got in 2005, right out of college, and then Greg started right after our dad passed away, probably in 2017.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He told me to go out and get a real job first. So, went to college, working on Wall Street for the first 5 or 6 years of my career. And after he passed, I was like, screw this corporate world. Came back and do mortgages, and now I work more than ever.
Yeah. So Jim, where you at, Jim? Physically.
Well, right now I'm in Florida on spring break, but we live in New Jersey.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I know your dad was from New Jersey. I didn't know if y'all were still
Yeah, no, we're still Atlantic County, New Jersey. Haven't left.
We live about 10 blocks away from each other, Jim and myself.
nice.
Same town we grew up in.
So
Yep.
how does that work out like being brothers and working in the same company? How does the dynamics of that?
You want to take it, Greg? You take this. I'll let you take this
Yeah,
one.
so there's obviously the pros and cons, but the biggest pros we can divide and conquer. It's tough for one person to be everywhere. And a lot of these realtors, there's different events we have to go to, whether it's, brokers opens, closings, lunch and learns, meetings, coffee appointments. So when we're doing that, it's nice to have another person that's around that can help out besides the rest of the team.
Do you find so are you both do you both act as, and I'm using air quotes here, the loan officer, or is one a little bit more front facing and one does more behind the scenes, or how does that work?
I'd say it's a mix. Like I've been a little bit more behind the scenes. Greg's a little bit more on the streets for the last few years. It used to be my dad was behind the scenes and I was on the streets for a couple of years, and then so we kind of switched roles. But we both do everything at this point. I would say it's a mix. It really just depends on the day. I would think Greg's though more visiting the real estate offices, making the phone calls lately than, and I've been more helping out on the back end, like structuring loans and getting them to closing.
Got it. And so let's talk about let's go into the team approach here first. So are you guys are you branch managers, or are you loan officers in a branch, or do you have other loan officers to work with you? What's the layout?
So we're co-branch managers is I guess would be the technical layout. We have a team and we have a couple loan officers that work for us too. We have two loan partners, a team lead, and two processors, and then there's like one full-time LO besides us, and one or two part-time, like very part-time.
Okay. And what's your numbers look like these days?
Last year, I think we did about 330-ish deals for about 95 million in production. And that was just the two of us.
We
Yeah.
call that not too shabby where I come from. So
Yeah.
95 million, and that was for the last 12 months or calendar year 224.
24.
Good for you, man.
And I
Dude,
think this
that was a year where a lot of people kind of struggled a little bit. So you guys 95 million for a year where most people were kind of treading water trying to keep their nose above the waterline, man. Good for you, man.
And
Outstanding.
that's
Thank you.
and that's
Appreciate it.
predominantly purchase business as well. I forget the numbers that came out. But I think it's
It
like
was like 90-10, I
95%.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
around
Good for you guys.
Thank you.
Good for you. So
And I think this month I think April we're on pace for I want to say 30-ish loans and like right around 10 million.
good for you.
Thank
And
you.
just to timestamp this, so as we're recording this, we're in the third week of April of 2025. So yeah, 10 million is not too shabby. Um, how does that compare to say 2022?
It's better.
yeah.
Yeah, so
2022 things slowed down a little bit after the rates went up, and that's when we came to you. We came to your conference because we were like, we wanted to get back to those COVID numbers, and we had to figure out how to do that.
yeah.
And we thank you for giving us some guidance on structuring and then just the daily the DSP and all that kind of stuff. You know, Greg will tell you he's a fanboy of yours. He listens to every podcast, and you know he was very instrumental in making wanting us to go down and see you in person, and it's really changed the way we do our business, I would say.
See, Greg, I like the way he says. Now, Greg listens to everything. Me, Jim, I don't listen to crap. Like I just like screw
Yeah.
that. I'm just yeah. So
It,
I
it's it's very
I
rare.
got
It's I say
I'll let Greg
it's
go.
very rare that I miss a podcast. And so for the people listening, Carl came to our company sales rally a couple weeks ago, and when I went over and shook his hand, I let him know that I'm probably the second biggest Carl White fan behind the lovely Mrs. White.
well, you're very kind. We knew somebody was watching the podcast. We just couldn't tell who it was. Now I know who it is. So so awesome. Hey, and I tell you guys, your dad would be very, very, very proud of what y'all have done. Like it's your dad is an awesome, awesome, awesome man. He certainly touched me, and he would be very proud. As a father, I can say for sure he'd be very proud of the way that you guys have not just grown your business, but frankly conducted yourselves. And you guys are carrying on the torch. So good move. So all right, so let's talk a little bit about like how do you do it? So um, like where do most of your loans come from? Like are most of them past database or realtor referral or divorce attorneys, accountants? Like where does most of it come from?
Definitely the bulk of the business come from real estate agents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we get realtor referrals. That's what we go after. That's where our, 90% of our business, I would have to think. You know, we do have my wife is a former divorce lawyer. We have her going
Hmm.
after divorce lawyers right now, and that's an avenue, but it's a harder avenue just because the rates are higher compared to where they were the last 20 years. So everybody's just a little more hesitant on refinancing at this point, but they still have to, some of them. But realtors are our bread and butter. That's where we go after. That's how we get our business. You know, we do social media too. That's I'd say our number two, just where we try to promote ourselves, other than just calling realtors and going after them directly. And our number three is probably our database. You know, we do market our database very much. We send postcards every other month. We're doing the emails. And I just got a call yesterday from somebody who works at a national bank. I won't say where. And he wanted, he got pre-approved there. He just knows they're not the greatest to work with, and he's going to use us to get the closing because he used us last time and just remembers how great the process was. So
And we're just not going to mention the Bank of America name on the
I,
podcast,
I,
but
I won't I won't say Wells Fargo's name out loud, but
yeah, that'd be totally uncool to
no,
do that. So we're
yeah,
not going to do that. So
no, but that customer our database definitely leads to, and when the refinance boom comes back, that's where, doing those marketing campaigns to the past database, that's where it's going to lead to the gold.
well, Jim, I'm going to tell you, man, marrying a divorce attorney, boy, this better work out. That's all I'm going to say.
uh,
This better work out. So,
and she told me not to sign a prenup too, so I'm already screwed no matter what.
Yeah.
all right, awesome. So, so most of it comes through real estate agent based. So, what does that look like? Like, how do you, what's, like, walk us through that.
So one of the things I like to say is pre-COVID, I used to be able to go into a real estate office and I would see 30, 40 people there. Now you go into a real estate office and you're seeing about five, and half is the administrative staff.
Yeah.
So we've kind of had to shift our focus. So the biggest thing I would say that we've been able to do is to kind of take advantage of social media. And I know, we don't try to go direct to consumer. Our biggest thing through social media is going direct to realtor. So on Facebook, Instagram, etc., we have all of the people that we want to target as friends. So what we do is we try to make our posts funny and innovative and really corny because we know almost every single lender out there, they're buttoned up, they're doing the same boring mortgage conversations, and frankly, the mortgage world's boring. So what
Yeah.
we try to do is make it innovative, make it fun. So some quick, things that we've done, with our, funky social media posts is we created a fake lender app. So it was called a Linder, and it was making fun of Tinder. Basically, we swipe right or left for loan officers, and they saw the Cookie Monster and Troll. Then all of a sudden they swipe right and they see us, and they imagine their lives together. We did like a whole Christmas Carol where we talk about the, all these different mortgage related topics. We did the night before closing. So
Yes, we have sang.
we put our babies and kids in the videos, and, try to tug on the heartstrings. And one of the things we did a couple years ago is we used to produce everything ourselves. I was sitting alone in my place with a recorder on. And then Jim had the idea, hey, like let's take this to the next level. And a couple years ago, we hired a full-time, marketing staff. So it's a husband and wife. They do professional photography and videography on, for weekends. They're doing weddings. And on the weekdays, they had extra time available. So now they work with us. And they really helped us step it up. And one of the cool things we do is we offer their services to different real estate agents. So if you're a realtor out there who wants to make a video, get headshots done, do whatever else, we offer it to you.
So you kind of, so this is actually a question. So you got this marketing team and you worked out a little bit of, hey, if you give us a good price, we're going to expose you to a large crowd that could use your services like real estate agents, and they have money to invest in this type of thing. And so you kind of help them branch out their business a little bit. And then they're incentivized to do an extra good job for you because they do an extra good job for you. The agents will say, hey, who helped you with this? And you're turn them on to that. Is that kind of the idea behind it?
Absolutely, and they do weddings and videography, so they get business from that. But they've been amazing for us. They're like really great people, and have just helped us grow by making instead of filming it on our iPhone, we have like a professional
Yeah.
camera and then two cameras going, and it just what much more better produced than Greg trying to do a Malamut mortgage minute by himself in front of his iPhone.
So if I wanted to go see one of these, like where do I go?
On
Our
our
Facebook media.
Instagram, yeah.
Yeah. Our Facebook page, Instagram page, either one. We posted both those places.
So what's like how would I find the Facebook page?
Greg Malamut on Facebook, Jim Malamut on Facebook.
Yeah, I think the easiest ones go to Instagram and was it Team Malamut Mortgage or something? I forgot.
Malamut Mortgage
I
Team.
love that. I'm not sure. It's something like that, like whatever. So, and I,
Yeah,
and it,
Malamut Mortgage Team on Instagram
all
is
right,
probably the best way to see
and,
those videos.
and I'm gonna spell your last name just for our listeners can hear it is Malamut. So it's Malamut. And again, I'm speaking with Greg and Jim. So how often do you do is most of your social media is most of it videos or is most of it like just words with a picture or 50-50, 90-10? Like what does that look like?
A good question. So we try to mix it up is the real answer. So there's two of us. So we try to not make it too redundant where I'm posting 5 times a day and Jim is. So we try to break it up where about once a week, one of us is posting something worthwhile. So that's, a video or it could just be text. There was a first time buyer program in New Jersey and there was a day where rates finally went below 6%. So I made a post, first time buyers 5.875 and over 100 different realtors shared that post to their Facebook because a lot of the realtors they're looking for content to share themselves to get in front of their
That
sphere of
they are.
influence.
Mhm.
So when they see a post that they can use themselves, they love it and jump all over it. So it's a matter of us trying to figure out the right mix of business, funny, educational, family, recreational, and we try to do a
Right.
little bit of everything because the people that just post business, it gets stale and no one likes that.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It like I see some of the people, they'll be posting the bond market graphs and I just think, dear God,
It's
just
boring. I see those
yeah,
and
Right.
I cringe. I'm like, I don't even want to look at those.
yeah, hell, I don't even know how to read them, so I don't even know what it is. One thing, I was just talking with a very dear friend of mine this morning, Perry Belcher, and he was saying that Agora, do you know have you ever heard of the company Agora by chance?
I think
Have you ever
so.
heard? All right,
No,
so
I haven't.
they're not in the mortgage world, but anyway, they sell about 1.5 billion of products per year, so they're massive, and their most successful ads speak at a fifth grade level by design, right? Fifth grade level. And I look at those graphs and whatnot. Hell, I got a master's degree and have to look at them, quite a bit. and I got a master's in science, like in chemistry. And I still, I can't, it's hard for me to look at those graphs. I don't know, a little ADD or dyslexia going on or something there. But I think you're dead on the money of you mix it up. I love the way that you said you involve your kids, like your family. I think a big part of marketing is to give the message, I'm a real person just like you. Very powerful message. So you answer that guy. So how often do you post? Like typically, is it like,
I'd say once a week we're posting a video, but like we go to all of our closings. So, that's part of our marketing. I'd say marketing gimmick is we go to the closing, we got our big money bags that our dad influenced with us. So we have like, about 3 foot high money bag sign. And, we go to that closing and take the picture, and the realtor is usually the one posting it and tagging us. So like I don't even have to go out there and tag because the realtor wants to promote it and market themselves. And then I'm in their picture with my money bag, and I have this silly big hat also that has our logo on it. And it's just repetition. People see the same thing over and over again. Me holding the money bag at closing, they know we get deals done. So it's just another, and again, if the realtor hasn't posted, if we have nothing to do, then we'll post the closing picture too, once a week, just to put something out there.
And,
when,
and and to touch on that as well with the closings, I think this is good for LOs to hear. Another thing that we do is we give the client and the realtor a hat. So the hat has on it the Malamut Mortgage Team with our logo. And you'll see a lot of realtors at closings, they'll give away a bottle of wine or something that is consumable and it's gone in 24 hours. So we like to give something tangible so that they think of us. So a quick story is I was flying back from Florida Martin Luther King weekend, and I'm in the Fort Lauderdale airport. It was 6 a.m. in the morning, and I saw someone boarding the flight I was getting back on to Philly wearing one of our hats.
no
So
way.
right there you have it. It was like a eureka, like, oh, this is working.
I like that. Hey, so wait a second. So now if you go to your closings and did I write down the right number? You had 330 closings. How do you pull that off? Because I know when I hit about even a small, I would say even at 30 closings a month,
Mhm.
that the problem I started having was, I got two closings on Friday. One's at hell, sometimes they're at the same time, and sometimes one's at 1 and one's at, noon, and they're on different sides of the town. How do you pull off going to the closings?
We try
Well, we
our
have
best.
two of us.
Yeah.
So we have two of us. So it's about 15 closings a month for each of us. So it's every other day. It's not it's manageable, I would say at this point still.
Okay,
But
okay.
but
And we're
thankfully we have a team behind us. If it was just me or Greg doing it, we wouldn't be able to do it. But there's a team there able to function for us when we're at the closings. And that's, we thank you for helping form the team and getting it help, directing us in the right ways. But that was something we really needed to, is letting go of control. And I'll say, 15 years or no, it's 10 years ago when my dad was getting coached by Irene, she told us hire an assistant. And that assistant's been with us now 10 years. And that was the first step to like getting bigger. And now, like I said, now we have 3 people under us and have 2 processes. We just had to grow the team out so that we could do more stuff and be able to do the closing. Because that's how you create these relationships, going to the closings, being there for the client, being there for the realtor, shaking the hands, kissing the babies, and that's how you make real relationships, and that's why we really like to go to the closings more than anything else.
What do you spend, like, what does a typical day look like? And Greg, I'll ask you first, and then Jim, I'd like to hear how yours is different. So, Greg, what does a typical day look like?
the good question.
Yeah.
So every day is different. I would love to say I come in and I'm lead genning from 9:30 to 11:30 and on the breakfast club before then, but really every day is different. I usually start my day off with a workout while listening to your podcast. I can't tell you how many hours in the gym I listen to Carl White. But once I get to the office, like on a perfect world, I'm doing the DSP, where Mondays I'm doing the set tasks, Tuesdays and so on. But we've recently kind of built out the team better. So for a while, we had one internal teammate, and Jim and I were very involved in the files. The goal is to be less involved in the files and more involved in, the bigger picture money making activities. So it's tough to say right now.
Hey there. Hey, if you're loving the tips so far, be sure to hit that subscribe button right down there and then tap the little bell so that you never miss out on more free, cool tips coming your way. Also, I would love to hear from you. drop a comment beneath there. Let me know what you think, or tell me what you'd like to hear next. So, Jim, I'll ask you, what
Sure.
do you find yourself doing most of the day?
Oh man, well, we're trying to be proactive, right? But end of the day, like I'll be very honest, like even closing however many deals we close, we're still reactive. You know, it's just the way it is sometimes, and that's why we're trying to build the team out so that we're less and less reactive and more proactive. And over the last 60 to 90 days, we had one teammate leave the team and go back to our old company. Hired two other people, so there's been a lot of flux in the last 60 to 90 days for us, and we're still able, like I said, we're still closing 30 deals in April. Like we will work as hard as we need to get things done always. But at the same time, we're trying to be smarter about it and work less hard and work smarter, you know, so that we have our teammates doing the grunt work in the loans and we're doing more of the loan creating loans, going out, making those relationships, going to lunches, going to breakfast, coffees, making those calls on the deals that are in you know, under contract. And that's what we want to be doing. You know, that's where we're heading. You know, we got there
Mhm.
for a little bit. We had, you know, it's like it's always one step forward, two steps back. It just that's just how it works. So we were getting there for a month or two. We had the employee leave, and then we had to go, you know, Greg and I had to work harder for the last 60 days. And now we had two more people back, and now it's like we feel like we're getting back into a groove again. So it's just, you know, that's just how it works. And anybody out there, if they're saying they're doing nothing or they're never reactive, that, you know, the mortgage business, you're always going to be reacting to something. It's just trying your best to be proactive on as many tasks as possible so that you're not always just so far behind.
Hmm. I like that. So, when you, how do you, so you said most of your social media is targeted to the real estate agents. How do you do that? Like, how do you target them?
We don't do paid ads currently, so that's something we've definitely thought about but haven't actually done. The biggest thing is just, becoming friends with them on social media and then liking, commenting, sharing their posts, and then the algorithm brings us, towards them and makes it work.
Yeah, I think that's really what we're doing is just sharing, liking their, commenting on their posts, and then they kind of reciprocate. We have a good name in our area, and we have a pretty high market share, and it just we've developed a following by posting, I think, good content. You know, if our content wasn't funny or it was just us talking about mortgages and being boring the whole time, no one would really care. But by making the content a little bit more original, a little bit funnier on the, you know, that has led to a bigger following. So even when we post something that's educational now, we'll get 60. Like today, we posted a video about e-closings. You know, we're doing e-closings now where they sign 60% or 75% of the things before they get to the table. And I think we have already 60 likes on it today, you know, in a couple hours. So we have a following now, but it came with good content to start.
And Carl, one thing I want to add to that, for people that are not posting on social media, they have to be. If you're in this industry and you're not using social media, you're making a grave mistake. It's free. You can reach hundreds, thousands of people, with the click of a button. Back in the day, you used to have to pay a ton of money for advertising. You would have to be on a billboard, you'd have to be on this, that, the other. Now you sit behind your computer and click a button and you reach a whole network of people. And I think the biggest issue is people are afraid of being judged. They're afraid of what's that, guy or girl from my hometown or high school going to think about me. And as soon as you stop caring about that, that's when you see the change.
That goes back to the people don't think about us near as much as we think they do. They're
Yep.
too worried about what you think of them, right? So it's just an old classic line that I've done. So what do you think you're doing different, dude? I cannot tell you the amount of stories I hear. I'll see loan officers. They spend all their day on social media. They spend all their day sharing and liking and commenting on posts, and they're closing zero loans. Like literally, like zero loans. Like I was talking to a guy the other day. He had like 200,000 views of a video. I said, "Awesome. Did you close any loans from it?" And he goes, "Yeah, one." And I go, "That is my nightmare." Right? I got to scuttle through 200,000 comments and likes and whatnot to find that one loan. I'll tap out. No, thank you. What are you doing that's different?
We're just going towards the realtors. That's who our friends are on social media. So we're not, trying to go viral with these posts. I think some of them have should go viral, but none of them do.
Yeah.
So we're just making our content and we're not spending all day on social media either. What we do is about once a month, we'll meet for about 2 or 3 hours and with our marketing team and we shoot 4 or 5 videos. And then we have content to promote once a week for the next month. And then we wash, rinse, repeat. And the toughest thing is figuring out the ideas of what we're going to post. Because like I said, we try to be creative. So we sit around, we brainstorm, we see what other people are posting online and try to make it our own. And
Yeah,
are you using any AI tools to help you with the content?
very
n-
little.
Yeah,
not yet. That's where we're going next.
though I can smell AI a mile
Mhm.
away.
Exactly.
So I think AI is really good for certain things, but I think when we rely on it to do all of our work for us, as far as like being creative, and I can tell an AI post, like when somebody posts
Oh
something
yeah,
that's AI written, dude, everybody, they all got the same emojis, they all got the same little green
same
check marks, and they all the
pa-
little flame of
the
fire. It's like,
paragraphs.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like, dude, it's so obvious that I think, again, it has its purpose, but I like it that you're doing it the old-fashioned way, quite frankly. So good for you guys, man. Well, I have to tell you, your success couldn't happen to two nicer people, and
well, appreciate it.
so it's just outstanding. So what am I not asking you that I should be asking you?
I thought of one other thing, I'd like to add that we do differently. So here's an example. Around the holiday times, everyone sends out gift baskets. And you get 20 of them and you forget who even sends them. And the winter time, it's also slower. People aren't working as much during the holidays. So for example, this year what we did is instead of sending out a holiday present, we waited till Valentine's Day. And what we did is we sent all of our realtor partners that we had their addresses for 100 gram bar in a little box with Hershey Kisses, and it had a little message at the top like, "Will you be our realtor Valentine? We'll make 100 grand together," whatever else. So
Love that.
just a little gimmick, and around Valentine's Day, no one's getting all this mail, so we try to find different ways to stand out again and be different.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think of the Christmas cards, and look, Christmas is my favorite holiday, not just obviously, at least in my belief system, what it stands for, but just the funness and just the whole Christmas spirit. So I love Christmas, but I get the Christmas cards. It's like you, me, and everybody else. We all get 300 of them, and like if somebody didn't send one, hell, I don't know who did or who didn't, quite frankly.
Exactly.
But you message me something a month later, I'm going to remember because I didn't get 100 of them that day, or you didn't get 100 of them that day. So I really like that, man. That's a great idea. Um,
Yep, and business picks up after the Super Bowl. It always does every year. That's when it starts
mhm.
picking up. So we were like, all right, instead of doing it in Christmas time when everybody's slow and on vacations, like let's do
Yeah.
it when business is about to start getting going again and remind everybody that we're still here.
So what's next?
It's a great question. We're trying to continue to grow the team and build it out so that we can double where we're at now. Like I said, we're doing 30 loans a month. We want to be doing back to COVID numbers. That's been our goal since 2022 when we came to see your conference. I would say is we really want to get back to COVID numbers and build our team back up. And we think we can do it. We might have to hire another loan officer, but we're really confident that we can get there.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we have a very good share in our market. So within our county, that's where we're getting the bulk of our business. So there's definitely opportunity to expand, go bigger, go more geographic regions, recruit other loan officers. So, if you are a loan officer out there, I know we can't recruit in this podcast, but you know,
However, if we could,
Yes.
if we could, calling Greg and Jim would be a good thing. And this is not a paid. I just,
No.
you guys are just really super nice guys, and yeah, somebody's looking to be a little bit more creative, and learn the team approach. I don't know of anybody better than you two guys, honest to gosh. So,
Well, thank you.
so
And one thing, it takes me back to our childhood with growing up with our parents, and we were definitely raised the right way, and we were taught to treat everyone the same way, and I think that applies to the mortgage business, where if we're talking to a doctor versus a single mom who's working 3 jobs, we're treating them both the same and giving them the time of day, and probably giving that mom working 3 jobs even more time a day because we want to see the difference, and we know we can help make an impact in our community by helping people become homeowners.
outstanding. Did one of you guys come to the last event that your dad came to, where he won that award with us? Did either
I
one of you?
I wasn't there, but I remember him going. He went to Dallas. I think it was in Dallas,
I
Texas.
think I think it was in Dallas. Yeah.
Because I looked at my text messages from a couple years ago, and I remember like one of like the last texts I sent was like, "Are you okay? Are you sure you can go away?" And he was going to Dallas, Texas to go to your thing, and it was literally 30 days before he died.
Yeah.
So it's just, he really had a strong emphasis on what you were coaching and doing there. And I said it at our sales rally. Like, I stopped doing it after he passed away because I just couldn't handle it. There was so much going on. I was having a baby 2 months after that. I had too much going on in my life, and that thankfully I brought Greg back on the team. It was one of the best things I ever did in my life. And it's just been, it was a lot to handle at the time, but I wished I would have stayed with the coaching, because I think the coaching and building out the team and learning how to do these tasks that we weren't really, we thought we were good loan officers, but we had no idea what it took to get to the service that we want to get to. And that's where we're trying to get to still, is building out the team to get to that level.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We want to be the Ritz-Carlton of mortgages, where every
Yeah.
single client gets the same experience every time, and you're being treated like ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Well, you guys are a class act. Yeah. I remember when your dad came, we had this special award we made for him. And it was the Lions Award, which was the idea behind it was the cowardly lion in the Wizard of Oz. Come to find out, he had incredible courage. And there's an old song by a group called America. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that group or not, but they have a song called The Tin Man, and there's a lyric in that song that I just love. It says, Oz never did give nothing to the Tin Man that the Tin Man didn't already have. And so I thought of your father was a poster child of that, with extreme courage. And me and our group, frankly, didn't give him anything that he didn't already have inside. We just helped him discover it inside of himself. And anyway, yeah, that was a very special time for us. So, anyways, obviously bittersweet,
Yeah, but
but
like I say, he always talked about you, and really, and Irene, and always,
yeah,
you guys were very influential. And our dad's bit, he had his own company for 20 years that stopped in '09, so we had to like start things over, me and him basically. And again, we tried doing it ourselves, and then we weren't growing, and all of a sudden we got coached by Irene, and she's like, "Go hire an assistant." Boom, all that was the step one to growing. And it's just, we're very appreciative to you, and everything you've got done for our careers as well. So thank you.
hey, if somebody wants to reach out for you guys, what's the easiest way to do that?
Facebook or Instagram is the best way. Like we said, Greg Malamut, Jim Malamut on Facebook, and I think it's Greg Mutt Mortgage, Jim Mutt Mortgage on Instagram.
Yep,
Perfect.
but that's it. If you want to call us, our office, it's a very easy number. Our dad came up with this number a long time ago. So it's our area code is 609-646-5555. So 4 5s at the end.
Love that. Perfect.
Yeah, easy one to remember.
All right. I know we could sit here and yak for quite a while, and it'd all be good stuff. Anything else I should ask you that we didn't have a chance to bring up?
I feel like we hit everything. Uh, We we left. I don't know if we should talk about leaving one company to go to another at all, but they ended up merging anyway. So it was kind of bittersweet, and we helped help direct that to take place. So, but we don't need to talk about that at all.
Well, that's kind of cool, actually. So you left one company, went to a new one, and then the two of them ended up merging together.
It's
I don't know if
something
we
you're probably not going to see ever, not ever, but it's something you don't see every day in the mortgage business. We were at Green Tree Mortgage for about 10 years. Great company, great people, but it was a very mom and pop shop, I called it, because it was small, and it was like my dad's company. That's what I loved about it.
Yeah.
And after kind of going to you, we kind of realized, like, if we wanted to grow, we needed to have more support, technology, and it led us to seeking out HMA. We we went to HMA, and after being there for 2 months, Green Tree still gave us access to our email and Encompass for 2 months
Mm.
after leaving the company.
Class act.
And class act. So I was, and I knew he was a class act before that, but it continued to be a class act. And I told the HMA guys, I'm like, this is the kind of guy you want to work with and be partners
Yeah.
with. And I knew there was, from working at Green Tree for 10 years, I knew there was a lot of great assets and loan officers there, and suggested they kind of marry each other. And a couple months later, it happened, which we surprised everybody. But it's been a great thing, honestly, having everybody on board. So it's definitely not a normal story in the mortgage business.
That just gives credence to something I've always thought. never burn bridges on the way out, right? Leave as a class act, and it's a very small industry that we're in, and it all comes around anyway. So you just got to be really, really, really careful. And yeah, yeah, I learned long ago. I don't like the taste of leather, so I don't put my foot in my mouth too often. You know,
Yep.
so it's a hard stretch, and I don't like the taste of leather. So
Honesty and transparency. I think that's really what it's about. If you keep things honest, you keep it real, you tell people how you're feeling, you don't hide what the issues are, then I think no one can really be upset when you do
yeah.
something that as a result. So
And you know, for me, a lot of it is like I am so grateful and honoring to the people that brought me to the party and the people that taught me and helped me out over the years. Um, Man, I always treat them with reverence and honor, and I think it's just a good thing to do. And so you guys are a class act, so cool stuff. All right, guys.
thank you.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on here. Definitely interesting. I can't wait to go see some of what you guys are doing. I love how you're doing it. You're not spending all day doing this stuff. There's that you meeting, you knock it out like in a 4 hour period, and then you go about your business, and that stuff gets dripped out on an ongoing basis. So it might look like you're doing it daily, but in reality, you're doing like little chunks of time, very time efficient. Love what you're doing. And by the way, I love the guys that you're working with over there at HMA. Just an absolute class act, Dave and the gang over there. Just some of my best friends, and so good for you, Robert and Tom. So do y'all work with one more than the other, or is it do you work in your own little section of the
We
company?
we kind of Dave, Robert, and Tom take different tasks on, I would say. So it's like if we're dealing with, trying to get the loans closing and we're having underwriting issues, Robert might be more involved. If we're having HR issues, it might be Tom more involved. If we're trying to do it more just like some sales stuff, Dave might be more involved. So it just depends on what we're doing. And then they kind of do it the same as us, divide and conquer.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
Yep. But
love
they're
it.
great people. And then like I said, to have it bring it, and I want to make John Miranda, Green Street president, great big influence in my life. I love the guy, and he having him over at HMA now too is it's really awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
So
And
yep.
so and y'all did your sales summit over in St. Augustine. Did you get a chance to walk around there by chance?
Yeah, we
Just a
went a little
little.
bit.
Well, other than the bar, I didn't mean the bars. Like if you're with Robert, I know you went to the bars, but like apart from that, yeah, there's a little district. So we were at the beach area where we met at. If you go inland about 3 or 4 miles, there's historic St. Augustine, which is a really cool place to walk around. It's the oldest city in America, and it's a little cheesy. You know, they got the Ripley's, believe it or not, and the Wax Museum and things like that. But it's actually a kind of a cool little area to walk around. So.
We drove around like Flagler College was right there, and
Oh
we
yeah,
saw a little bit of the downtown, I would say, but unfortunately, it was a very quick trip for us, so we didn't get adventurous out enough.
yeah. So they built a railroad from St. Augustine for the people listening. If you're not familiar, St. Augustine is the very northern end of the state, just beneath Jacksonville, over on the Atlantic side. They built a railroad from there all the way down to Key West, called the Flagler train line, and parts of it are still there today. And I don't know how far that runs. It's got to be 400 miles, 500 miles, something like that. And it was strictly for him to go from his house in St. Augustine, that he enjoyed going down to the Keys and having some good rum down there, I suppose. And so he built his own train track. So I thought that was kind of cool. So anyway,
That
whatever.
is cool. That
Yeah.
is cool.
Hey guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it. And thanks for bringing fresh ideas. And I'm sure we'll have some people reaching out to you. So thanks again.
Thanks
This
so
was
much,
awesome.
Carl.
Thanks, Carl. Take care.